So I've had a few flights with the FMS Ranger 850 and I really enjoyed it. It's a nice size aircraft. Maybe it's not the fastest one. I have like smaller aircrafts, the UMEX series from Horizon Hobby, which they are crazy fast and they are extremely small and agile. This one is like a glider, a nice, almost like scale flying. You can also do acrobatics, of course, but they're not as snappy as the smaller airplanes are. But I've actually made a few modifications. The first one was actually an accident. I had a bad landing. I got stall, which is never good. But when you try to go slow, and the wind becomes a little bit unpredictable, or maybe you go just too slow, you should have gone a little bit faster, and you have too much up elevator, you can experience stall. So I had a bad landing, but the Ranger went this direction, just from maybe half a meter up. So this nose wheel, the inner part, which is a steel axle, came loose. I could just remove this one. And the plastic was also broken. So I just had to fix it somehow. And this is not spring loaded. So what I did, I took a spring and I just cut off a piece of plastic of the inner plastic thing, So this one is actually, it got a bit of spring dampening. I guess this will just loosen up over time. But this way, at least there's some sort of spring mechanism, which I think this airplane should have it from the beginning. So that I think FMS, if you could change this design to have like a spring, like in the FMS Ranger 120, it does have a spring. That would be great, because I think this plane is really durable, but this nose wheel is something that it takes like one bad landing and it breaks. And you have to have the nose wheel, because when you put it on the ground, without nose wheel it can't balance, so that's essential. But the other thing I did, which I think is really nice, is I added LED navigation and position lighting for this one. So out of the box you have the front LED, but I got a 8 LED kit with a light controller also. And I installed these like they should be installed. So for instance, on the left wing there is red light, which is constant, and then there is a flashing white light that goes more to the rear, and the same thing on the right side of the aircraft, where you have a green light and then also flashing LED. I added front landing lights, so not only at the nose, also have these wing mounted landing lights. These are white and they are constant. And for positioning also, I did add two slowly flashing red tail lights. So I couldn't really mount it on top of this wing, which is usually the place where you put the rear red positioning light. Because I have to do the wiring somehow. So I managed to get it in this position, which is, I think, is a good amount of in the back as well. And then I put one underneath, so this one will be seen from the top and from below. And this looks really nice. Of course, they are not that bright, so during the daylight you might not see them. As with all other aircrafts, RC airplanes which have LED lighting. But when you fly like in the dusk or dawn, it's really nice, and it's easy when you have the aircraft flying straight towards you. It's very easy to see that you're actually doing that, because you have all these three lights. And when you turn, of course, you see the positioning lights from the wings. And this took me like, I don't know, if I spent like an hour or so. And what I did was I did cut a groove in the wing. So there are from the beginning there are And there is a groove for the servo, but I did ones. There is one for the landing LED, and then there is one for the wing positioning lights, and the same thing on the other side. And in here inside is the LED controller, and the one I got did actually have like a servo connector, so I just have to hook it up to a free channel on the receiver, and it worked fine. It looks more like a real plane and makes this one at least a little bit more scale, because I don't think the paint scheme, you know, there are not many details on this one, but with the lights it at least gives it a more pleasing appearance. And of course I had to try the LED installation. So here I am just before sunrise. I have to excuse the poor image quality. It's the Osmo Action, and it's not good in low light, but it was what I had at the moment. So I think it's really cool when you see the aircraft from a distance and you see all these front lights and the wing positioning lights. And at least when there is low light, you have a better chance of, you know, telling orientation of the aircraft. So I'm trying to go slow and just to show off the LED, and when you turn, how the light changes. A bit of a rough landing. Okay, up in air again. So I didn't really, you know, want to try anything else and just have a look at the LED. So no fancy flying this time. I think it's really nice when you see the wing, red and green LED. Okay, I have to do one loop at least. It's always difficult when you fly, and I mean, you never want to have the airplane right on top of your head. So I just have to stay in front of me, and sometimes, you know, there was a bit of wind this morning, and it did push me around a bit. As usual, when I do the turns, I try to pick up speed by giving the motor some more power. It's very easy to stall if you make turns and you don't increase speed. Oh, it looks so nice in the distance. You see these front LEDs. Nice wing lights as well. Okay, so I think I have another landing. It's going low, slow. Okay, a bit of a skewed landing. I think the lift from this airplane is really nice. It just goes straight on the runway and then, you know, easy peasy goes up in the air. I think it looks really nice. It's a fun plane to fly. Not fast, but you know, nice to do like scale and wide turns and maybe some touch and go. So another slow turn. You can really see the LED. You can see the wings, they rock a bit because the wind was a little bit uneven, so it came and went. And the LED, they are not that bright, so of course when you go further away it's difficult to actually see them, and I think the camera doesn't pick up everything, so when you're there in real life you see the LED light more than the camera can see. And as I said, I mean, the Osmo Action does have a pretty poor low light capabilities, so it's really noisy, and video is smudged somehow. Well, I think it's time for the final turn and then going for the landing. So, well, thank you for watching.